Get ready for another Mastery of Real Estate role play. And I appreciate everyone joining us. We moved it from Tuesday to Thursday. So for the balance of this year, you guys, the role play class, in fact, here it is. If you're a first time viewer, how to master question-based listening enhanced conversations. We're going to be meeting on Thursdays from 1 to 2 Eastern. And we'll be doing that about till maybe the second week of December. We'll take a vote on it. We'll take a vote on it, John, whether or not they want to do it during Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's on a Thursday this year.
Got it. And Pi Day for us is on Tuesday.
Yeah, there you go. So, Sonny, I trust you there. You might be there. I know our team is doing calls right now. Speaking of Pi Day, it's not too late to do a Pi Day if you want one. What is our Pi count, Sonny? Do you know?
Like 320.
And awesome. And how many Naples, John?
That includes Naples.
That is the entire team so far.
Okay. It's early yet. We'll probably get to 500 of it.
I think there's 15 Naples.
Good. Well, let's get started because there was a report that just came out. Guess what? We are in November right now, and first week in November 2021 already. And what that means is we have October numbers from a comparison, and the media is starting, and they're a little bit slow. In fact, I'm going to share with you my thought of the day, you guys. Very quickly, I want to share with you the thought of the day. We have for the last 18 months been in what we've been calling the market in a million. I just grabbed this headline that came in the last couple of days, and they're only talking about September, gang. And this is what's important, is that the market now, September was the first, second, third month in a row that we've seen falling sales, John. And so, John, let me ask you, you can take a wild guess if you'd like. We've had minor sales erosion year over year. July was 1% down year over year. August was 5% down. September was 3% down. Take a wild guess. Anyone, John or anybody, you can put it in the chat and just let me know. What do you think? And I realize I'm talking about Southwest Florida and you're somewhere else. However, I bet your market's behaving similarly. What do you think? So anyone want to take a guess if the market was up or down in October last month over the year before? And if so, how much? Anyone want to take a wild guess at that?
Come on, Al, you're chomping at the bit.
He's a pretty good guesser.
You talking nationally or you talking locally?
Well, I only have local numbers here in front of me that I can talk about national numbers. However, I'm talking about what do you think, and you would probably be similar. What do you think it would be on a, if we've been averaging 1%, 5%, and 3% down, do you think October's higher or less than that?
Higher.
You're absolutely right. In fact, get this, gang. According to the report I just ran, our sales in October are down 17% over last year. Now, that's going to be a wild headline. Now, again, we've been talking about this for the last several months. The reason I'm letting you know about that right now is that when these headlines start to permeate, and they're starting, this is really the first one I've seen. You can Google Lawrence Yun, Y-U-N. You can Google the National Association of Home Builders and probably get your number, or just look at your MLS. As these sales numbers start to permeate the news cycle, buyers are going to get a little bit cooler on their feet. Now, we had an awesome October. I think our team had 40 transactions, which is up, and we're still moving forward, and our market is still moving forward. However, it's down 17%. And so I want you guys to know that that's going to be the message out there. And I want you guys, we can practice this a little bit today on some role plays, is to have how to have conversations and put that in context. If you've been on the call before, you realize we've been talking about year over year numbers. And I'll show you the slide. I've actually blacked it out. Year over year means basically comparing October to October last year. And what was your sales like last October? Well, they were through the roof, right? It was one of our best months ever, right? So therefore, our year-over-year numbers are going to be falling. Here's the important thing that I want you to write down so you have the ammunition to deal with your buyers and sellers, because they will interpret this. Oh, here it is right here. If you look at that, you can see that we had all these great months all the way from July of last year all the way through June of this year. And, you know, if we had a 46% bump last year in sales, so we're 17% below that. Here's what I want you to know. When I compare October with 2019, not 2020, we're 20% above 2019. So buyers are going to use this as ammunition to say, see, I told you I should wait. The market is slowing. No, it is technically slowing. However, it's going from irrational to rational. Our market's still moving very quickly. It's just going to continue to report year-over-year negative numbers. I actually predicted we would have 6 months in a row of negative numbers. And so we've had 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I might even go into 7 or 8 months. So any comments on that, you guys, that the market's still strong? I know there's a lot of things going on. There's always unknowns in the market. Just beware that buyers are going to get a little bit cooler. Sellers are still going to be pretty bullish on the market. And like right here, a lot of agents, sellers, and buyers are just going to be thinking the market's groovy, and the buyers are actually going to feel a little bit differently. I've showed this graph before. Buyers' sentiment is slowing. So I want to role play. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, so we saw something a little different here at the end of October up in DC area. Right about the time they announced that rates are expected to go out, we saw buyers coming out in droves. I did an open house with another agent, and we had 40 people come through. She ended up with 10 offers, and we're seeing like a crazy competitive hot market the second half of October. And right back to where it was like insane and high price point, you know, the $400,000 house, the $900,000 house, multiple offers, first week on market. So we saw a little shift once that interest rate spike announcement came. I don't know if it was related to that, but it was interesting.
Well, you know, what's interesting about what you just said, Jeff, is the fact that one of the National Association of Realtors said home sales were down in September on the rising interest rates. And so I'm scratching my head. I have not, and maybe I'm a little bit out of touch because I'm not working with buyers every day. I'm not aware that the rates have really popped up a lot. Am I missing something?
No,
It was a
rates are not up
comment
yet.
that rates look like because of inflation, they may increase next year. And they did tick up slightly. And that doesn't mean we sold more houses. I won't know what those numbers are yet, but it was interesting that home values, that competition came back out again, pushing prices up even higher. So we did see a slight shift back to the more crazy market.
Yeah, well, I see a comment here from Susan. You're up 20% over. Okay, I guess you typed that in there, right? John, thanks. So yeah, we're 20% up over 19. So why don't we do a quick role play here, maybe a 5 or 6 minute role play, John and Jeff. Jeff's kind of my co-host for a long time, and obviously congratulations on your good success, Jeff. I'd like to see all your Facebook posts and awards you're winning. So why don't, John, you be a buyer that has a little hesitation because you're now reading the market slowing. Jeff, why don't you use the information you're using as a third-party story in a quick role play on maybe something you could get John from being cool to a little bit warmer.
All right.
So he walks through an open house. He sees you at the open house. He likes the house. And basically his objection is, yeah, you know, we definitely want a bigger house. We're kind of busting at the seams, but I think, you know, if sales are falling, we're going to wait for a better time to buy. That's John's statement. Jeff, take over with our question-based, listing enhanced conversational technique.
Hey, John, you know, I can certainly appreciate your uncertainty in the market. I mean, that's been a common conversation this year. You know, other than being concerned about where prices and interest rates are headed, is there any other reason you wouldn't want to, you know, complete your sale and purchase right now?
Now, like I said, my biggest concern is buying at the top.
Yeah, so your concern is really that, we might be in a bubble.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I
I'm
certainly.
gonna just hang on, Jeff, 1 second. So for those people that are new to this, I put the model up here and he's done an awesome job by acknowledging the objection. Here's the formula, then you isolate other than that. And so now they're having that discussion. The only one thing, if you don't mind, that I'd like to interject here is that he said top, you said bubble. Do you think this, now, first of all, did you guys hear that? Because this is about conversation and listening. I'm just going to ask you, you're on the right track. I'm just going to ask you to demonstrate for the others. Maybe a better way of saying that is top. If he uses top, you use top. If he uses
Gotcha.
bubble, you use bubble. So just ask that question again and just use top instead of bubble.
So John, so your biggest concern is buying a house at the top of the market? Are you concerned that, buying today might cost you money in the future? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm concerned that buying at the top of the market, and honestly, if I wait 6 months, I'll probably end up getting a better deal.
I can certainly appreciate that. And at the end of the day, getting the best deal and the best value for you is what's most important, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, John. If 2 years ago, if you had bought a house, even though the market was kind of crazy and people thought we might be getting near the top of the market, where would you be sitting today?
I'd be thrilled. Unfortunately, I can't live in a 2020 hindsight.
Of course not. And no one has a crystal ball and no one can predict what's going to happen in the future. However, in historic and most real estate markets, we typically see over time growth, and people who try to time the market often time it wrong. If you really, really were interested in moving and you wanted to capitalize on the market right now where we know we can get you top dollar for your current home to help you buy the next home, does it make sense to at least look at some strategies that might make this work for you?
Yeah, we can take a peek at some strategies. Like I said, though, the biggest thing is especially moving up. If I'm moving up, I'm going to end up saving more by waiting a little bit until the prices retreat a bit.
There you go. I knew you'd get that percentage in there somewhere, John.
Yep. You know me well.
So Jeff,
Am I still working on?
you got
still
1 minute.
working?
1 minute.
All right, John. So, I certainly appreciate where you're coming from. And other than that concern, is there any other reason you wouldn't want to move forward right now?
Nope, that's it.
All right,
Take him.
excellent.
Take him to pain.
John, 6 months from now, if you had not made that decision and it turns out it's going to cost you 50 to 100 grand more to make the same decision that you could have made today, would that concern you?
It would concern me. So
It would concern me too.
Is that where the market's going?
I want to share with you some insight that I have that could be an indicator where the market's going. Would it make sense for us to get together for 20 to 30 minutes for a cup of coffee and go over that?
Well, let's assume you're together right now. He's right in your open house. He's giving you all kinds of buying signs. All kinds of $100 bills are falling out of his pocket, right? So come on, let's see if you can land the plane. You haven't taken him there yet.
John, have you noticed in the news information about where interest rates may be headed next year?
I'm not really concerned. I'm a cash buyer.
Oh, that's called a sneaky or dirty pool, right?
I was
perfect.
waiting for him to go down that road back in the beginning.
Yes. That's when you throw a swing and a miss.
That's even better. Buying cash allows you to make the decision when you're ready to make it. And I certainly would want to hang on to as much of my cash as possible. Trying to time the market may work to your advantage. It may work to your disadvantage. Ultimately, are you ready to move, and do you want to move, and do you want to know what we know for certain, that right now you can get the most money possible for your house and be able to buy something on the way up?
All right, let's stop just a little bit.
I'm off a little. I'm out of breath.
Yeah, well, you started out good, just like the Bucks did, and then they end up losing the last game. So, you guys, this is kind of we're going to go through this again, because where do you think Jeff? Where do you think, and you're an awesome agent, where do you think you got a little bit sidetracked, or if maybe you don't think so, how do you think you did?
Well, I think I started off good with the model. I just didn't have the clear path to where I was trying to take him. And I think I would probably have had to ask more questions and understand where he's coming from. And you know, in my mind, I was thinking about, I'm going to try to close for an appointment, but actually overcoming his objection, I need to work on those conversations, but listening more to know which questions to ask.
So you guys, I put up this is a little model that I created. It's very similar to the model we just went over. Take a picture of this, a screenshot, get out your flash cube and your Kodak, or write it down. How to address their fear. Now, objection handling, typically an objection could be a fear. In fact, if I'd have to think about it, maybe I'd say it always is. It just maybe lack of information makes you hesitant, and that hesitancy creates a fear. So it's the same as how to address fear or a hesitancy or an objection, all right? One, acknowledge it, just like the other model, acknowledge it. The other thing is to clearly identify it. Okay, so I think you did a pretty good job. Everyone kind of understands, I believe. I don't want to assume that. You did a good job that he doesn't want to buy at the top of the market. We had that conversation. I think what would help you from a path standpoint is, what's your alternative? So is it possible when that John, who is the buyer, talking to Jeff, the agent, is it possible that your buyer's opinion of the market may be correct? Yes or no?
It's possible.
That's right. I mean, if we each go into 7-Eleven and buy a Powerball ticket, before the drawing, we could argue till the cows come home who has the better ticket. However, we don't know, right? We don't know. In fact, most likely we both don't have the winning ticket. So what's the alternative? So if that was going to be the path, for example, we do this. So John, let me ask you then, you said you're busting at the seams. Now, who remembers me saying that? At some point in time, you have to introduce the motivation. That John's out looking. Remember, buying a house isn't a lot of fun, particularly in this market. It's a lot of work and it's competitive. And so there's a reason he's doing it. You've got to go back to that reason. So John, so I understand you don't want to buy at the top of the market, right? So let me just help. John, so I'm going to go back to you. Help me understand a little bit. You say you're busting at the seams. What does that mean?
You know, it's we've got a 3-bedroom and a den home. My wife works out of the house, and I would like to spend more time working out of the house. I'm more efficient there. I just don't have the room. The kids take up the other bedrooms. I just don't have the space for a good workplace for me.
So where are you working out of then?
The kitchen table.
You see, in reality, you want to spend a little bit of time there, because that's going to get him into a little bit more uncomfortable. Because, you know, if he's working at the kitchen table, he's having to move his stuff back and forth, and there's all this noise, all this distraction. And again, going back to the isolation, there's no harm in having a conversation with somebody. Well, okay, that makes a lot of sense. What else? What else is giving you some motivation to get into something larger?
You know, I see the signs that things could be changing. And, you know, I figured at some point there may be a seller out there who is willing to move a little bit on their price in order to be able to secure a deal today.
So is it, all right, now, I'm going to stop right there.
Going right back to the original one, which was the pricing side of things. So you keep me on the pain.
Well, I will. However, did you sense if this was music, did you hear the tone change? That had nothing really to do with my first understanding of this, of buying at the top of the market. Now he's saying, well, this is what I heard. Well, it's not buying. I want to see a seller come off a number. Now, we're not quite ready there. Now, Jeff, it's okay in role play. You made the assumption he was a homeowner, right?
I did, yeah, and I missed completely busting at the seam. So
That's okay.
That's because Denny said that.
That's right. I remember it because I said it. So let's go back. Well, all right. So you want to, so John, are you saying, going back to your statement, you're looking for a seller to give you a good deal?
No, you know, if the
I broke
right
my rule.
opportunity-
I
Yep.
broke my rule. I broke my rule. Let me phrase it the way you said it.
Okay.
Are you looking for a seller then to come off their asking price a little bit?
Yeah, I'm looking for a seller that is, if we can find somebody that's got what I'm looking for, and I feel like I am getting, a value that I don't have to wait 3 months for the market to adjust to, that I can pick it up now at that future value, I'm happy.
Well, is it all right? So then will you evaluate that quote comfort of them coming off, that you're not overpaying based on what the seller comes off their asking price?
Not necessarily, but this particular house that we're in seems like the seller is, based on everything I've seen selling in the neighborhood here, this particular seller at this open house seems like they're looking for somebody who may not be following the market as closely as I am, to put it nicely.
I don't know what you just said. Are you saying the seller?
The seller is looking for a sucker, in my opinion. They're looking for somebody who's going to pay too much for this house.
I got that. Okay. So let's just put this house aside. Are you saying that you are a buyer for the right home in this market?
Yeah.
And do you have anybody to represent you to help you find that needle in the haystack?
That's kind of why I'm going to open houses, is to see if I can find that needle in a haystack.
Or you're gonna look for an agent to help you find that needle, or you're gonna go and actually and look at all these different houses, hoping that will be the needle in the haystack.
Tell me why I should look for an agent.
All right, I'm going to stop. Just you see how this conversation is spidering. Now, when he said that this house wasn't for him, what I want you to see is I kind of changed directions. My conversation had nothing to do with him wanting to buy that house. It had to do with me getting him to list with me, so to speak, as a buyer broker agreement. Would you guys have gone down that road? Give me some comments. Jeff, John, anybody who wants to comment.
I think that he might have had bad experience with agents. He seems very untrustworthy, doesn't have trust. So what about addressing that? What are you looking in an agent that you would potentially hire, or maybe asking, did you had bad experience with an agent before?
Well, that's interesting that you say that, and that's great input. Now, that's a kind of a conversation you're going to have, because it's going from, we've just shifted, and John can tell, he's already got a plan. And so he's playing battleship, right? But he knows where his battleships are. And I'm firing salvos over there, attempting to hit one of the ships. What's interesting is that's the tape you played in your mind, Marcia, right? And you could ask that question, but do you notice the logical side of it is to shift gears and now work on seeing if you can help him find a home, and at least, rather than you try to sell that house? Does that make sense to you? Because we become fuller brush salespeople. We become car salespeople if you want to have a conversation about why he should buy that house. So does anybody else recognize? I'm not reading comments, so if somebody says something to comment, then you'll have to just share it with me.
Yes, I recognize that.
So
Got it.
Denny, I've got a, oh, sorry, go ahead, Heidi. I thought you were done. My apologies.
No, I'm done. I mean, I did recognize that that's what he was saying, and I agree there's more to ferret out there. But you could go right to the represent the buyer with the long-term goal of being able, if I find you a house, then I can sell your house.
Well, we don't know that. Well, again, we don't know if he has to sell a house yet.
Right.
So that would be, I thought this was going to be a short little role play. And now he's become more complex and there's other issues there. And so now we have to choose on how to move our chess people. John, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that when Jeff and I were doing this role play, there was a tact that I probably would have fallen for, and I want to run it by you to get your opinion on it. And it's when I kept going on price. Says, Jeff, if you had come back with something like, John, I can appreciate that. What do you think this home is going to be worth in 3 months or 6 months?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right, then switch roles, Jeff. Jeff, you be the buyer. You be the buyer. Yeah, you're the buyer.
That's a good question. I mean, right now I feel like, it's priced at 550. 6 months from now, maybe 570 or 580.
Okay, now remember, you're in my mindset where the market's going to turn the other direction.
Yes, right.
So it's going down. Right.
So,
I mean, I don't know, 500, 525.
Okay. And Jeff, outside of the price, does this house fit your needs? Does it fit your wants?
This particular, I would say it ticks off about 8 out of 10 things I'm looking for.
Okay. And I'm not saying that we can do this, but if you could get the house at that number, that 525 number that you mentioned, if you could get it today, would that make you feel better?
Well, anytime I can save quite a bit of money is certainly going to make me feel better. And I mean, it's something certainly to consider because we definitely need a bigger place.
So by asking the seller to sell it at 525, what's the worst thing that can happen?
They say no.
Okay. What's the best thing that can happen?
They say yes.
They, you got me like kind of closed, but I'm kind of in my mind thinking, well, what if it drops even more than 525?
Jeff, you can't have it both ways, man. You just gave me your number. And if you could get it at that, would that make you feel better today?
So I'm going to just pause. I'll let you finish that. I'm going to let you guys know what's going through my mind. Because Jeff's comment was, I get it. It's kind of like, have you ever met someone or been in a situation as a buyer yourself or had a buyer in front of you and John's baiting him? And I'll give my opinion on that after a bit and let them watch this play out because we're showing you different ways to handle the same scenario. However, he gave a number. John countered that with, well, what if the seller would say that? Now Jeff is starting to do what we call the moonwalk. He's starting to moonwalk back, right? Because he's afraid that the trap is being set and the value isn't there in his mind. Maybe he's not, the decision process is moving fast. And now he's sorry he threw that number out. And here's the other thing. And this is the kind of the danger of going down this path. And John, you can defend it if you want to. We've got to be really careful that we never paint an unrealistic picture in a buyer's mind, in my opinion, because if you do, that's an image you'll have a hard time getting rid of. Quick story.
Hey, I gotta just real quick. Sorry, I apologize, but I had a 1:30 today. I got to jump off.
How can we got to quit then? You're our buyer.
I'm sorry.
I'll play the buyer.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate seeing you. Who's our buyer?
I'll pay.
All right, Susan. So hang on just a second. Quick story. When I was buying a car one time, and I was unrealistic. Who likes to buy the car? They sit you down. You know the process. It's easier now, I guess, but this is back in the golden oldie days when you had to crank the cars to get them started. So anyway, they'll attempt to do it for a payment. And so the payments on this Lexus were like $600. And I didn't want to pay $600 for a car payment. And he said, what would you like to pay? And so I threw a number out there just like Jeff did. And I said, well, 400. And he did the same technique that John did. He said, well, if I can get you the car at $400 a month, would you take it? And so I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking, ooh, goody, goody gumdrops. That would be awesome. Well, let me take it to the sales manager. Well, he goes out the door. Now, put yourself in that position. What are you guys thinking in that minute or two that he's gone? That
I still call a lower number.
yeah, maybe there's a chance. And you know what? And he came back. He said, no, it's actually not even 600. It's 615. And just dumped a bucket of water on me. So I want to see how John finishes this. So Susan, you can be that buyer. Let me see how you finish this, because I just want to see how you finish it, because I can see that could be a dangerous thing to do. Put a bow on it, John.
All right. So Susan, like I said, I don't know what the seller is going to say. I don't know their motivation. What I do know is if you don't ask, we're going to be sitting here next week having the same conversation. So is it worth a few minutes of time to be able to put this down on paper and see if those sellers willing to bite?
Well, you know, I kind of threw out that number kind of sort of just to test it. But I mean, if you think that's a viable number, I have to go home and do my numbers again to see if that will really work for us.
You know, I don't know if it's a viable number or not. The only way we'll know is if they ask, and if they say no, that's okay. At least at this point, you will have a firm understanding that this house cannot be purchased for the 525.
Yeah, but just in case they do say yes, I want to make sure that our numbers are in alignment with that. So
That's fair.
just give me a couple of days and I'll call you back about that.
As you know, Susan, that's not a problem. And let me ask you one more question before you head out. What happens if somebody comes through the house, the rest of the open house, and sees this house, and like they make an offer on it and they buy it, and you call me back in a couple of days and I have to tell you that the house is gone? How would you feel about that?
Well, I guess it wasn't the house for us, you know. There'll
Okay.
be a house out there for us, you know.
No problem. No problem. That's awesome. So when
All
would you
right.
like to call you back? Done.
Okay. So that is an interesting tack. Any comments? Any comments on that? Brian, how come you're so quiet? And by the way, did you change your studio around, or do you walled in your bedroom where you can't get to it anymore? I can't see your unmade bed.
This is a different part of the living space.
Yeah, you're ready to go national now. That's a good background right there. So any comments on that? Obviously John is really smooth. Let me just ask you, John, what have you gained if he said, yes, let's make an offer?
I'm taking the contrarian approach, Denny, and that is what do you have to lose by making an offer?
Well, what's the possibility if a house just comes on the market, you're having an open house there, it's listed at 575, that a seller in this market is going to even consider a 525?
Well, the scenario was 550 versus 525. So, but anyway, so, you know,
Okay, 550.
you know, you honestly don't know. We had one, we actually just signed the paperwork on it this morning that dropped 8%.
Okay.
So
Well,
it
I
does
know what
happen.
the benefit is. The benefit, if John is representing the listing, is the listing agent as well in this scenario, right? When you're
Well,
doing the open house?
Yeah, let's assume he is.
Okay, so one of the benefits is if he does get an offer for 525 and he's got to present it, if John is thinking that this price is a little high, it might help them to realize that maybe we priced it a little high, and now he's got evidence of it to help him lower the price if it indeed is high.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like 575 or 580, but I remember now that that's what Jeff said when he answered incorrectly. So 550, 525. So you're going to get him on paper. I get that. One other thing I picked up here, and we can switch gears to something else, is when Jeff said, well, it hits 8 out of 10 of my buttons. John let it go, that would have been, my mind was, is 8 out of 10 enough?
I would have thought that would have been the other way, where 8 out of 10 is great.
Well, I would have said great. However, I would have asked the question, does that hit your acceptable level of moving forward? Because he could have said, and you can ask it or take the assumptional approach, which John did, and just move forward. And so I'm waiting on a 10 out of 10. Before we leave this one scenario, though, I want to go back, if we can, and let somebody else be the buyer. I need a buyer here, and I want to stay and go back to the first part of the role play, where we can even take it from there, where the buyer is looking for a deal. Now, with this negative, so-called negative information coming out in the marketplace, buyers may get a little bit more deal centric, right? I'm looking for the deal because falling sales. So I need a buyer that wants to do that and pick up where, so we don't do the whole thing all over again. You're the same buyer, you're living in a house. I'll find out if you own it or renting, because I'm going to show you the rest of this model. And let me see if I can walk you down that lane. So who's my buyer?
Denny.
There we go, Brian. I figured I could draw you out, a little shy guy you. All right, so here we go. So we know that you want to get out. You need a bigger house. You're on the kitchen table, blah, blah, blah. Let me ask you, Brian, by the way, do you own the house you're in, or you rent it?
I currently own.
Okay, and then you're out shopping for another house. I'm just kind of curious. Do you need to sell that house in order to buy your next house?
Yeah, I will need the equity, so I'll have to sell it first.
Now, why? All right, so we're going to slow this down. This uber slow motion. Why would you want to know that as you start to build your defense? Or I should say offense.
Oh, because then you want to get the listing first before you do the buy.
Yeah, there's something else, though. It's very important in putting your case together, Perry Mason. What is it? I have to get some new contemporary examples. Perry Mason, no one other than John knows.
Yes, well, because otherwise it's a chicken and egg. By the time you find the one you like, you won't be able to buy it because you need the equity out of your sale.
Yeah, but there's a fly in it. There's another fly in the ointment. Why is he waiting, you guys? Talk to me. Why is he waiting? Why doesn't he buy now?
Because he can't put a down payment. No.
But he doesn't even want to buy now. What is his main concern?
Oh, the price of the buy.
Well, you have to ask the question first before you know the answer.
Go back to the beginning. What did he say? I don't want to buy and pay top dollar.
Right.
Now, add that to he's now a seller, and he can't buy until he sells. So what should be going through your mind?
Well, how about selling at top dollar?
Well, that's the other side, yes. So that's why you want to find out what's their alternative. Now, if he's renting, you would talk about rising rents, right? Mm-hmm. So what? All right. So then, Brian, what you're saying is, or you're concerned about overpaying. Then, if you think the market's going to fall, well, do you want to sell at a high price or at a low price?
Well, I want to sell at a high price.
Well, is that now because you're hesitant because you think you're at the top and the market's going to be shifting downward? So is that your assumption?
Well, Denny, if I wait, will that affect my sell price?
Say that again.
If I wait, will that affect my sell price?
Well, if there's a saying out there that a falling tide would lower all boats. So if the market's slowing and the house you want to buy, you're thinking, you're fearing it's going to go down, don't you think that would affect your house too?
Yeah, that'll affect my price.
I must have a hard time hearing you were talking fast.
Yes, that would affect my sell price.
Now, do you see where you guys kind of have a little bit of an angle? So you're saying then that you would rather wait where the market falls to buy, yet you're going to get less for your house too?
You tell me, Denny, you're the professional here.
Well, that can be a strategy, although they don't write many books about buying low and selling low. They write a lot of books about selling high and what?
Buying low.
So what I would do in that scenario, you guys, understanding what their alternative is before I go to the last step, is get to the greater pain, is the strategy is he's not even a buyer. Now, I know it could have gone in a couple different ways. However, if this scenario comes in and he can't buy until he sells, he is a seller.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what type of pixie dust you throw on him.
Mhm.
He's got to sell first. So now I'm showing him the level of pain. If he, then Brian, let me ask you this: if you feel the market's going to drop, do you want to sell ahead of the drop or after it starts dropping?
Before it drops.
And when would that be?
I don't know.
Well, you don't know when it's going to drop, right? You just think it's going to drop in the future.
It may drop. Everyone, yeah. I mean, it may drop in the future.
So if you want to sell high, is the market high right now?
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
Well, wouldn't it make sense to sell your house when the market's high instead of when it drops?
Yeah, Denny. What's take you so long to get to my house? Come listen. What else to say?
No, but then I mean, I've got all these other expenses. I mean, if I have to sell it, and what if that my house that I want isn't there?
Well, I get that. However, you see, and that's another conversation we can go down. However, what's interesting is when you ask the questions and follow the model, what's their alternative? You can give them the other side of the argument. See, he cannot argue the fact it's good if the market falls, I'm a buyer, and it's good if the market sells, I'm a seller. He can't argue that anymore. We've just taken his logic away.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's going to have to come to some conclusion. Well, all right, well, and what he said there is a little whippersnapper. Well, all right, well, you're the professional. What do you think I should do?
I get told that often.
So
because I'm learning all y'all's tricks here. That's what.
So we played that role play in a couple of different ways. Who would like to see throw another fly in the ointment or change the scenario dealing with a market changing? Maybe it can be a seller side, unrealistic seller, not wanting to get real on their price. Could be a buyer side, or maybe something you're going through. Let me help you get prepared for your next appointment by going through a quick little role play. We have time for 2 or 3.
Denny, hey, Denny, can you throw in some kids that really don't want to be homeless because their parents support them until they're really old?
What
Your
planet
kid-
are you on?
your kids don't want to be homeless?
Can you throw in some kids that are, keep ruining your deals because they don't want to lose their place to live?
Okay, so I'm Moses. So I'm looking. I feel like I'm looking at you through a telescope.
Well,
Hang on. Are you saying that the parents want to move and then the kids don't want to move?
The kids don't want to lose their place to live, yeah, because the parents are at that age where they can get into, 50 and over housing and stuff like that, and they just don't want to be homeless.
Are these like?
I'm
30?
seeing a pattern of kids pattern of kids that are more threatened.
Again, I don't have that clarity yet. Are we talking about kids that are living at home that are 30 or 40 years old? Or are we talking about like?
Exactly. Yes.
Oh my gosh!
they should be homeless, right? No, I'm just-
I would help them. I would kick them out. I would actually have to be one of my value propositions. I'll kick your kids out.
Find them a rental, right?
So is that a legitimate thing, Moses, where you have kids, adults that don't want to leave?
Yes, I've had 2 deals kind of like bitterly ruined by, a kid at this age, that potentially might have to move.
Because they have friends in the area and they grew up. I had that experience too.
Yeah, but we're talking, Marcia, we're talking about 30-year-old, 40-year-old people, not kids. Well, here's the common sense. I haven't had that, although I've had people here in Florida, the kids, my grown kids that live in Akron, don't want us to sell the house because they want a place to come down and vacation. Right? The kids want to use it. They use it 1 week a year. Now they want their parents to keep it and live there so they can Airbnb it for free 1 week a year. So when you have a scenario like that where you have an external influence on the decision makers, it would be the same formula. Who wants to take it? It's the same formula. At some point in time, you guys, this acknowledge, isolate, address, and close via questions. At some point during that conversation, write this down. You must get them to paying. You must get them to paying. So let's take that as a role play. Who would like to be the agent on that? You got to follow the model.
Susan, you want to give it a shot? You're muted.
I'm sorry, I wanted to be the seller and you the agent because I'm a seller that wants to sell, but the inventory is so low, I can't find anything.
Okay.
Oh, that's easy.
I think Whitney can handle that one. She's like, who, me? Yeah, you.
Whitney.
I'm sorry, I was texting someone and I missed what.
Whitney, you are the agent, and Susan is the client. Susan, what's the objection going to be?
I would love to sell my house because I mean I know this is a top market. My neighbor's been selling, but they all moved out of the state, and I need to stay in the state. And I've been looking on Zillow and everywhere. There's nothing I like that's a downsizable place, and there's just no inventory.
Okay, so are you available tomorrow at 10 or 2 to meet? I'd love to discuss some options with you.
You're now face to
for the
face.
appointment. Now you're already meeting. Now watch the slide.
I was trying to get out of it. I'm just kidding.
So follow the model, Whit. Follow the model.
Sure. Yeah, so I don't know, totally threw me off. Basically, you said you want to sell.
Look behind me.
Other than
No, hang on a minute. Acknowledge it first.
Okay, awesome. You said it's a great time to sell and you want to stay in the state, but you're not sure if there's a place to. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell me more about that. What are you looking for in your next property?
Wait a minute. Hang on. You had the right words, Susan, to tell. You were prompting her. You didn't isolate yet. You didn't isolate.
Mm-hmm.
What's the script, Brian, for isolation?
So other than not having a house to go to.
Yeah. Other than that, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to take advantage of this white hot market now?
Yes.
That's what she's saying. We're co-listers on this. We're co-agents. Okay. So,
that's right. So Susan, what's your response to that?
No, other than that, no, I'm okay. So sell it to me. Sell it yesterday. I'd be happy.
Okay. And I don't know, Denny, help me out. I don't know where we're going. I missed the bus on this one.
okay. No worries. No worries. So Susan, let me ask you then, where are you going when where are you moving to? Obviously you want to move. Where are you going?
I want to stay in Bergen County in this area. All my family's still here. I do want to take advantage of the house, and it's just my husband and me, and we're getting older. We're on a 2-acre property. We'd like a smaller ranch, don't want a townhouse with all this COVID stuff going on. And anytime we see anything, it's like 2 days later, it's gone.
So what you want to do is build a bridge, first of all. Is there any way you can convince someone to, unlike the movie, and I use this in my bold rooms this week, if anyone hears of one of my boldies, when Indiana Jones, Temple and Doom, I think he had to take that step of faith off the cliff when he couldn't see the bridge, right? And so what you want to do is make sure they have a place to go, at least mentally. So I understand you want that. You want to get it a little more space, and you've been watching things come on the market and they're gone really quickly, right?
Yep.
How often do you see a home come on the market that would be good for you and your family?
Not too often. I mean, you know, I look daily, and I may have gone to actually see one twice in the last 2 months.
So maybe once a month?
Yeah.
And so you are seeing properties that if you had your equity in your home, you would love to be able to hop on, because you could probably get to them pretty fast if you had your equity. Is that correct?
Well, now that you put it that way, I'm not quite sure those two were the ones we would want to buy, but I mean, I did go to look at them, yes.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking that, let's just assume that I have in my pocket with $100 bills falling out. I've got, what if you just let me buy your house right now? In fact, I'll just give you the equity of your home. And so now, and find out first, Whitney, if they're a buyer or a seller. Do you have to sell your house in order to buy?
Yes.
All right, so therefore they're a seller. We have to help them with that. And they're concerned about not being able to buy some. So what if I just gave you, would you let me buy your house? I'll pay you the number you want.
Mhm.
And you can stay there as long as you need to in order for you to find the right house to buy. Would that work for you?
And I'd stay for free?
Well, we'll have to negotiate that. I mean, it can be in the price. I mean, you're paying something now to live there. So even if you pay,
No, it's paid off.
well, you're paying your utilities and all that stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that sounds pretty good.
All right, so you would do that. So how long would you think you would need to stay there, Susan?
Well, we're going into the winter, probably until March or April.
So then, even if
6
you had to
months?
pay me rent, so let's just say you had all your money and you're paying me rent or not, because it doesn't really matter at this point. You can negotiate that into the transaction.
Right.
You don't create roadblocks now. I'm into the making it easy for her. So so let's say that I'll let you stay there till the end of April. Would that give you a comfort level of being able to find a house that you guys like and take advantage of it and swoop in there and buy it? Would that make you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
So I got her to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all right, so who wants to land the plane?
John does.
Who?
It's yours, Whit.
John, we from the best.
It's yours, Whit. I've been playing all day.
Come on. So I'll tell you what, well, here's the thing, Susan. If you're into that idea, then maybe I'm not the buyer. However, what if there was a buyer out there that would go ahead and do that and pay the number you're happy with, let you stay there until April? It would be okay if it wasn't me buying it, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, if they came with the terms that you just mentioned, it really doesn't matter who buys it.
Well, I know that you can't win in this market unless you're in this market. So what would it look like then if we would let people know about that? Does that make sense? That buyer could be out there. You could actually, in fact, we call you guys the golden sellers. You are a golden seller. There's buyers out there that would love to lock in a place to own, and they could, and don't have to move into it right away because they're selling another house. They're waiting for their kids to graduate college. Who knows what?
Yeah, see, that's my other problem that I have. Like, I have a husband that's very asthmatic, and with all this COVID stuff, I don't want like anybody and everybody trampling through the house.
Well, I thought now we did isolate one time. Now you're bringing something else in. So that
okay.
means.
Well, I'll just stick to that.
No, it's okay. You guys, you've got.
I'm playing a real seller that I just.
I got it. I
Okay.
got it.
Okay.
Then how would you handle that? By her saying that, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Then what you're saying, Susan, is your husband going to get cured of asthma?
No.
Is COVID going away?
No.
So
It
are you
doesn't look like
saying,
it. Maybe it will. I don't know.
well, maybe in 5 or 10 years?
Hmm.
Are you saying then that you're going to stay there? You're basically saying that you're going to have to stay there because you don't want somebody walking through your house because your husband has asthma. Is that what you're saying?
This other guy said to me that he would buy it, just like you said, he would buy it. So, I mean, I'm talking on the phone with him. He said he would buy it.
What would you let the buyer go through your home?
Can you videotape the place?
No, I want, this buyer's going to let you stay there through April and you have one person go through the home. I'm coming down hard on her because I'm tired of this crap, really. I'm kind of playing with you. When you have a seller that gets that anxious over COVID, I understand there's different levels of fear. However, it makes no sense to me if that same seller goes to the grocery store and buys food or goes to the gas station.
Actually, that's not the case. I went to her house and she actually had groceries out there that she was leaving out there today. And usually it's the older people, you know.
Then that's an outlier. I'm going to say, what if no one comes through your home until you buy it? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Until they buy it.
Or until they do an inspection or something. I mean, I know, you know, you got to inspect the house. I do appreciate that.
You see, then here's the deal. Is there a buyer out there? Do you believe there's a buyer out there that would buy her house and be willing to write the contract to the terms that would be acceptable to Susan, let her stay there till April and not look at the house until they had at least an agreement?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Then therefore, that's how you take the listing. So, well, then you know what? We're going to have it. Yes, I'll have a video of it. And you know what? Once somebody says they're going to buy it and give you the number you want and let them stay there April, then would you be ready to move forward with me today? She's in a corner, you guys. How do you get out of that?
There's some things I have to fix in the house.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
these
why-
are things that come up. Okay, you know, I know.
At some point, Denny, you're painting them into a corner and you're going to learn, are they a real seller or are they just somebody there just to have a conversation with somebody because they're lonely?
No, this is a real seller, but I mean, you know, the objections, they're not just one objections, right? They're like 5, 6, 7 of them come up.
Yeah, but that's why we, hang on, that's why we isolate. Before you answer anything, we were on the assumption that we isolated.
Oh, I see. That was the only one.
Get them all out. And then really quick, let me end with this. Whit, you still there? We're going to land the plane. Whit. So of the 15 things you just gave me, which one's the most important to you?
Having a place to go.
Ask them which one's the most important. Well, my husband's health, well, it's not all that important. However, my husband's health is important. And then I want to play, they'll tell you. If we can address those 2 or 3 things, are you ready to move forward? And that is a classic example and a perfect example. And I'm glad you did that, Susan. Unless you isolate, that's exactly what you're doing with a buyer or a seller. You're playing whack-a-mole because every time you come up with a solution, they give you another problem. And they may
So you want to know all the problems up front. That's a good one.
Yes, and if they get to a certain number, you refer them to an agent you don't like.
So how many people get stuck? How many of us get stuck in that rut where we get an objection, like, man, I can handle this. And then you handle it and all of a sudden, wait, there's another one. Oh, wait, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. We get stuck in that rut often because we get so excited about, I know the answer.
Yeah.
We didn't ask deep enough questions.
Huh?
So we didn't ask deep enough questions. Go ahead, Masha. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I wanted to ask at one point, because it seems like a battle sometimes. Could we, for some reason, make them just like us and make a joke and like break that very tense situation? Is there any strategies on that? Or is that just my wishful thinking?
Ask Denny. I crack jokes all the time about it.
Give me some go.
I think that's a gift. That's definitely a gift.
Okay.
I think it's important, Marcia, that you develop rapport with them and make it light. I mean, I was playing with Susan, a little bit, getting a little angry. I would not do that in front of a customer.
Mhm.
And yes, the more you can be a human and connect with them, the better. However, everything that the chess game is still going on, and we're coming from contribution. Listen, Susan and she is role playing, and her husband, they really want to move somewhere, yet they're fearful. So we have to have the conversation,
Right.
to help them understand how we can help them get there.
Mhm.
And you know what? And we will find people all the time, or sometimes, that don't have the motivation, and no matter what you say doesn't work. That's okay. They may not want to move yet. Everything doesn't work all the time. And just put them in your database and tickle them every now and then. At some point in time, they'll feel comfortable moving. So we've kind of went in a couple of different directions, played a couple of good role plays.
It was really helpful.
Can someone share a few specific ahas that this helps us as the kind of the host and the co-host understand what's resonating with you?
I think constantly going back to the basics is really foundational, and that's where we're all going to learn. And yes, there's always individual objections that we can handle and keep asking questions, but the way you reiterate essentially the basics and how to reel it back in when it kind of goes wide.
Got it. Nice, Whit. What else? See some quiet folks there.
One of my biggest ahas from this is learning to just isolate. Just really getting down to, okay, what are the objections? What are your main concerns? That way, get them all out on the table, and then addressing them, and if they come up later, go back to isolating it. All right, other than that, what is this? Other than that, that's wonderful.
Yes, and here's the thing, you guys, in reality, when you're sitting there, you're taking notes. That's the highest form of flattery. John, just get ready to close it out. I got somebody at my door. Hang on.
No pressure, right?
Love his house.
Awesome. All right. So as he leaves me halfway through a sentence here. So Ray, your biggest takeaway, and I think Whitney's the one who said it also, is the isolation.
Yeah.
All right. And Masha, you were about to say something. I saw you unmute and then your lips start to move.
I was about to say that don't be a car salesperson. Try to find more reasons for motivation. So besides that, the price, what else? I like that.
Excellent. So let me ask you, when you're talking with clients, how many agents that they speak with go this deep to really understand the core of their problems? This is the best way to set yourself far and above anyone else that your potential clients are going to talk to. Is by truly going deep, finding out what their concerns are, and then all the people flashing pictures of them with Rolls Royces and Citation planes on Facebook don't mean anything, right? They don't care about that. They care about whether or not you're really concerned about them. The best way to show that is to ask questions and go deep.
So I appreciate that, John. Thanks for closing. I had FedEx at my door, and you guys will be on next Thursday, 1 to 2 o'clock. Marcia, I like your little dance, so next week we hope to have a sale. You can do your little dance. Thank you guys for participating. If we can add value to you, just send me an email, CoachDennyGrimes@gmail.com. Thank you, John. Y'all.
Thanks.
Later, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.